Welcome to the Point of No Return podcast, a show at the intersection of technology and strategy. On this show, we interview industry leaders and experts to better understand how they think about strategy during this time of exponential progress.
Hola, welcome to the Point of No Return podcast. I'm your host, Nectar. On today's show, I spoke with a really good friend of mine, Frédéric Ranger, Vice President of Product Marketing at Stingray. And before I give his bio, a bit of a disclaimer, Fred's a good friend. I've known him for 10 years. He's been a client multiple occasions, and I have to say, one of the smartest guys I know in marketing. He's award-winning, experienced business leader, connecting people and brands through content, essentially. He's helped brands like CBC, Spectra, Astral, TELUS, TELUS Montréal and Yellow Pages, to name a few. And he really thinks about marketing in cutting-edge ways. He's run numerous campaigns throughout his career, both on the client side and from tech companies like Facebook. He's been recognized as a leader in the tourism industry as well. What I like about Fred is that he's also a practitioner. On top of being a guitarist and photographer, he's very adept at social media, and he believes that storytelling and listening is the key to solving organizations' challenges. We spoke about Stingray's massive ambitions. If you haven't heard about Stingray, by the way, it's a really small Montreal company you should be aware of. It's public. They have these huge ambitions to take over music globally. Why he's excited to join the company, and the reason he joined. He's just a few months into the role. We spoke about how the world of marketing has changed since we started working together, and what are the skills needed today in order to succeed in that field. I always learn a ton when I speak to Fred. I'm always energized after I've spent some time with him. I'm glad to consider him a friend, and I really hope that you enjoy the show. Fred, thanks for being on the show today, man.
Thank you so much.
We're in the beautiful Stingray's professional sound booth here. I have to say I'm pretty humbled to be here in this office and actually recording like a professional podcaster, let's say, for the first time.
I hope the mics and the sound booth are helping the sound quality.
Absolutely. Maybe as a first question, Fred, like we've known each other for 10 years. You recently joined Stingray. Maybe tell us, what is Stingray?
So Stingray is the world leader when it comes to music distribution, and this is on multi-platform. This is TV. This is also the music app that you see in all the app stores, and it's also a business provider when it comes to the solutions that businesses are looking for in terms of experiences. When you think about Spot Expert is one of the example where all the technology and the music ambience is being provided by Stingray. Stingray is also a very fast, rapidly growing business. And as a matter of fact, there's 400 million subscribers worldwide. This is Europe, this is Latin America, Canada, US, of course. So there's a lot of people using our products across the globe, and 95 million downloads. That's the number that we're now at in terms of app download, because this is worldwide. And we also are acquiring a lot of companies. The latest one is Yoki. Yoki is a karaoke app based out of Israel in Tel Aviv, and they're really, really big in the B2C space too. So it's both B2B, B2C, and I would say B2B2C.
So it looks like, obviously, I think Stingray is not such a secret. It's a massively successful Quebec business. Maybe give us a sense of the scale, like a number of employees, revenues, just the top level. Yeah,
so we literally just had our General Assembly, and we revealed some very, very good numbers, as you just mentioned. So we surpassed $100 million in revenue. So this is just in the past 10 years. Stingray is still a young company, but again, growing very, very fast. It's 300 employees right now, but we just announced also that we're going to be hiring 400 new employees in the next 5 years. And to your point, there's not a lot of businesses from Montreal that are announcing, big, massive hiring spree like that.
So if you're interested in a job, you just joined, right? It's been 2 months?
It's been 2 months. Time flies when you're having fun.
You probably had a bunch of choices, right, in terms of career options. Why did you choose Stingray?
Well, that's a very good question. First of all, music, the product itself, I truly believe. I mean, as a matter of fact, data shows that 90% of people listen to music. So I think we're in the right business. But also the challenge of using music and using that common language and making it as a product that people connect with, and providing people with experiences. If you think about the last time you listened to music, it made you feel something. So being in a business where you make people feel something is really interesting, and making money out of it is making it even more challenging. So for me, the challenge of growing that business internationally, having offices all across the globe is also something that I was really excited about. And again, the people. I met with the people a couple times before joining, and I saw the most passionate people. Again, we're talking about music here, so lots of musicians, lots of artists, lots of good business people too. So a good mix of artists and a good mix of very clever people here.
Yeah, it sounds like the type of role that fits your skill set perfectly, right? Like a mix of media, digital, business, basically what you've been doing your whole career.
Well, a couple of keywords. I mean, digital, music, and being in an industry that's growing. I think these are all the factors that contributed to my decision.
And describe maybe your role a bit.
Yep. So I am VP of product marketing. So basically making sure that our products and our brand is being positioned very, very well in all the different countries. And I also look after all the creative aspect of, so we do produce a lot of shows, TV shows now. We're in the TV business. Also the app. So again, promoting these products with the right message to the right people in the right country and all this great stuff. And also setting up the organization for success for the next 10 years. I mean, the first 10 years was really exciting. It went from a startup to being a very important company. But how do we become the next, Couche-Tard or the next Astral, all these big companies? We need to be set up for success. And this is where I can contribute and help.
Yeah, I have so many questions. Talk about your challenges right now. Like you're leading product marketing for the entire organization globally. What do you expect to see as your biggest personal challenge?
I think, and we did discuss about that over lunch. And one of the cool thing and the most challenging thing at the same time is being able to reverse engineer back all the markets that we have to position our product in. So let's say we are promoting Stingray music in Latin America. Well, this is not the same way we're going to talk about the brand in Canada or in Europe and so on and so forth. So for me, having a very, very good team that understands the local realities and the different marketing tactics that might work or might not work is making it super exciting, but also challenging. And the next thing is also data. We have tons of data, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who's telling you that. But how can we use that data in the most efficient way? How can we set up ourselves to be super relevant in our touch points? I think we've done a good job until today, but I think we could do a better job in maximizing all these touch points that we have with consumers.
What do you think is the most exciting thing? Not for your role, but for the company today?
Well, for the company is becoming the music authority across the globe. I want people to think music and to default to Stingray because we're not just a streaming platform. We have 150 people, even more than that, internationally that are curating channels, especially for different moods and different kind of experiences, and from a business standpoint too. So for me, the human element of it is as important as the actual technology.
And do you ever see a day where you go up against the likes of a Spotify or an Apple Music, the big tech players that are in the space? Or do you really think it's going to stay retail and traditional media distribution? Well,
that's a very good question. I don't think we compete directly with the Spotifys of this world and the Apple Music. I think these are actually very good products. But they're more of a on-demand type of service. You want to listen to one song, you go to Spotify, you can find it. Same for Apple Music. So for us, the whole fact that we have experts internally and we do curation makes it a very unique product. And also the fact that we are multi-platform. So again, you can find us on TV with some video channels. We just acquired a bunch of linear channels from Much Music, and videos are back. Video clips are back, and we're making it cool again and sexy again to watch videos again on TV and on multi-platform. So for us, the whole play is having a healthy business with very, very good margin because of the way we're set up, but also applying that to multi-touch points with a lot of different screens that people are consuming the content on versus a Spotify or an Apple Music. So it makes it a very unique product. And that's why I'm saying that we're the world leader, is that there's not a lot of similar offering in terms of products out there in the world.
So to understand, let's say there's the consumer, the customer mindset, right? Like I sign up to a Spotify, I pay $10 a month, I have access to the world's library. That proposition, the value proposition is pretty clear. what is, let's say, Stingray's value proposition in that sense? Like it's the ambient aspect, it's the always on in the background aspect. Maybe unpack it a little bit for me to understand.
Yeah, it's a very, very good question, and we did ask ourselves that, and I think we have a pretty good understanding of the value we're bringing to either a business client or a consumer. So ultimately, I think we're all busy, and I think the kind of persona we're aiming our product for or to is basically, I'm a busy host and I don't want to have, to build a playlist for my dinner that I just organized. I want to create a very cool ambience or a very cool experience for my guests. So of course, Stingray will be playing in the background, and you'll have a specific channel that you want to put in the background. But also from a TV perspective, this is your no-brainer when you want to put visually and in audio a portion of your soirée or of your 5 à 7. You just tune into the rock 70s channel, and you're getting the vibe ultimately. And if you look in the app, I think the Vibes channel, this is on the app iPhone and Android. If you click on the Vibes channel, you'll understand what I mean, because these are not just your TV channels, but these are vibes for any mood or any moments in the day. So that's the distinction between paying $10 for Spotify. And again, I don't think these products are necessarily competing. I think they're completing each other. There's a need for both. And ultimately, if you have a subscription with your cable provider, let's say Videotron or TELUS and so on and so forth, you'll get the Stingray Music app for free. Mm-hmm. So you can basically use it on any device.
And what do you see is the biggest threat to your growth? What can happen possibly in the market that would maybe not impede, and achieve your goals? Like, let's say, the television, TV industrial complex collapses. Is that a major risk for Stingray, or do you see it differently?
Well, I see it as a major opportunity, of course, because I'm the vice president of product marketing. But to be totally honest, it is where it's going. So we are looking at plans where TV right now is the core business, but it's definitely moving to the connected life, right? So the connected car, the connected home, and we are developing a product or an offering that is not only tied to the TV subscription. And this is starting to become more a demand that we get from mobile operator and also from internet service provider. So we are, again, packaging our product in different ways now that is not just only attached to the cable provider.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Actually, I haven't thought about, you'll need music in the connected car, especially as we'll have more free time now that these things will drive themselves, hopefully.
There you go.
Maybe I'll do a few rapid fire questions. How do you think about, or how do you set strategy in your current role?
Yeah, it's a collaborative approach, a collaborative effort. We have some very, very, we have some good expertise internally. So to set strategy, I mean, ultimately there's a big goal, a financial goal, and that every business have a financial goal. But then there's smaller goals, and this is where we build a value proposition per product. And again, I mentioned Stingray Music, but we also have a karaoke play where we have an app and we have a TV app and so on and so forth. And we have Yoki. So basically, we have business plans for each of the products, each of the regions, because if I develop a Stingray Music campaign for Canada, we might need to not just translate it, but adapt it in Latin America, as an example, or Europe. So there are business plans for each products, and of course, it's kind of like their own P&L where we evaluate the risk and the opportunity and the revenue attached to it, and then it helps us be more nimble. There's no big master marketing plan for Stingray. There are a lot of product marketing plans for each of the products. And
you mentioned they're managed as separate P&Ls almost, right? Is there an integration across these different LOBs, or? Well,
this is the next phase of, I think, and this is where I was talking about data. So basically, cross promoting our product, leveraging the data from a unique identifier for a client that's consuming our content on a TV app, and then goes to Stingray Music and then downloads a song in karaoke. This is the next phase of how we're going to do marketing at Stingray. Right now, we're good at knowing behaviors and trends, but I want to go deeper. I want to be able to offer the best experience, or the most personalized experience and content to our consumers and our customers, which are sometimes operators and sometimes businesses too.
Yeah, I'm diverging from the quick questions because you bring up interesting points. You spoke about data. What is that data, and how are you managing it? Do you have a data warehouse? Do you have data scientists in-house?
Yes. So we have a whole we call it the preference center, where we store basically the preference of our users. We also have data coming from our websites. We have data coming from multiple sources. And of course, we have a BI unit that's actually helping us, use that data in a smarter way, because data is just data. So we're setting up also new roles in the team. So we're going to have an analyst that's going to be able to provide insights in real time with the data. Right now, it's a little bit more like we put everything in Tableau and then we get an email. But I want to be more reactive. My ultimate goal is to get like kind of a nerve center where we can react and course correct almost in real time. And then cross-reference the data. We're not to that stage yet, but we do store a lot of data on our systems. We're looking at solutions too. We're looking at some CRM tools that are out there and some data management software that's out there. So we are exploring both building a lot of stuff ourselves and also using third parties if need be.
Yeah, it's a good challenge, right? Because it depends how core does it become and then how malleable it's going to be. You have a very unique model. So
there you go.
Building doesn't sound that insane, but obviously it's the cost versus you're up and running with like a Tableau. Obviously, it's a simple example.
And again, let's go back to the success of this company. They've developed we've developed an awesome product, and the margins are pretty good. Again, it's all public in our annual report, but that's a very healthy business.
Have you set your top priorities yet for yourself or your team?
Yes, we did. We actually just came out of an offsite 2 weeks ago. So we know exactly the products that we want to focus on in terms of, time, money, effort. We know which platform we could use to promote them. We know which touch point owned media that we can cross promote them on. But that was the easy part. Now we need to realize the plan and to deliver it. So that the fun begins now.
Can you mention some of them without giving maybe too much away? Or?
Well, I mean, it won't be a secret if I tell you that Stingray Music is kind of one of our core product. But as an example, SVOD, so subscription video on demand, is a growing market for us. I mean, if you look at Comcast, which is one of our biggest clients in the States, we've seen tremendous growth in people paying $7 a month to get access to our karaoke product on their TV. So we saw a couple trends and indication that we should maybe focus a little bit more on that for the rest of the world too. So these trends and these signals are coming in, as we go. But we've set some clear priorities on Stingray Music, SVOD. Yoki is another example. I really entice people on this podcast to go see the Yoki app, and you're going to understand where we're going in terms of consumer apps. This is a highly social, highly interactive karaoke app. This is your next generation karaoke app. So again, this is another product that we want to position and push moving forward.
That's great. Is there anything that keeps you up at night today?
Yes, a couple things is how can I make sure that my team is still happy, still challenged, and that's an everyday challenge, because there's a lot. You said it yourself. There's a lot of opportunities out there. There's a lot of tech companies and cool companies. So how do we make sure that all the good vibes that we have here at Stingray, even if we're growing massively and rapidly, how do we keep that entrepreneurial spirit? How do we keep that coolness factor? That all good vibes. It's not just a hashtag. It's actually really happening. I mean, you've spent some time here at the office. There are some very good vibes. So that's keeping me up at night. And then it's the international expansion and the acquisition. How do we make it in a very intelligent way and an efficient way, and we keep having fun doing it? That's what's keeping me up at night. Yeah. Well, I sleep very well, but I have nice dreams about it.
No, it doesn't sound like nightmares. So interesting. Maybe last rapid fire question: do you have a most productive time of the day or the week?
Yes, it's early in the morning. Okay. And usually, and I don't know why, not on Mondays, but on Tuesdays. Maybe the data could, I should gather some data.
Check your Fitbit.
Yeah, exactly, check my Fitbit. But I find that very, very early, 6:37, when phone is not ringing and notification. That's the other thing. I want to try something new and turning all my notifications off except for a few VIP people in my personal life. So I'm going to try that. And I'm trying also, I know it sounds a bit like everybody's saying that right now, but I want to try some yoga.
I think you passed the trend, actually. Yoga was cool.
It was cool 3 years ago.
I highly recommend. I haven't done it in a while, but I highly recommend.
Well, if you do recommend it, we have an excellent channel because we just partner with Lole. I don't know if I'm allowed to say a brand name on this show.
That's a good plug.
Yeah, on Stingray Music.
Okay, so moving out of the rapid fire, maybe I want to talk more about Fred as, as the marketer, the businessman, maybe not the guitarist and photographer, because I second those subjects. Obviously, I think when we met, you're working at TELUS.
Yep.
You've had roles at Tourisme Montréal. I forget where else you've had senior positions.
Yellow Pages, Mediative, Juice Mobile.
So maybe talk a bit about where you see, how the industry's changed since you started, right? Like I think we both we met like 10 years ago. We made our careers in the space.
Yep.
What do you think has been the biggest change since you've started?
That's a very very good question, and I think the biggest thing for me is that we've passed the stage of marketing to people. And I always say that when I talk to my teams or when I do conferences. I think the goal now as marketer is to connect with people, so versus marketing to people. And it translates into different touch points. I mean, if you look at social media, you won't react to the same thing. I remember being at TELUS doing a turn your profile picture pink and we'll give $1 to Breast Cancer Foundation. That was considered genius. Facebook called us and say, "Hey guys, can we use that example in our trade shows and stuff?" Today it would sound very lame and it would sound very boring. So for me, you need to be very, very clever to produce a piece of content because we're all competing for attention. So I think it was Gary Vaynerchuk who said he's a daily trader of attention. Well, I believe him. That's the most valuable thing in your life right now is time. And am I going to spend time reading some brand's positioning or ad, or I'm going to spend time reading about a cat playing piano, or I'm going to spend time chatting with my friends and interacting with my TV or my fridge ultimately. So that competing for attention and that value of time has, rose up to a level where brands need to be very, very careful in the way they interact with their customers and their consumers. So for me, that's the biggest change. You cannot just shout your messages anymore. You really have to establish one-to-one and not just in a PowerPoint deck saying we're going to be personalized, and you really need to spend the time to understand and reverse engineer back the audience that you're talking to. It takes time, money, and effort.
Yeah, I think back to Seth Godin's book. I think from 20 years ago, Permission Marketing, which is essentially close to what you're saying, right? Like we're moved to a world where you have to have permission. You can't hit people with a hammer over the head to get them to listen to you anymore.
There you go.
And now with just the unlimited amount of media out there, it's even more true, right? You can't break through the clutter unless you're original, creative, informative, entertain.
Well, and this is my whole point about, I often also say that you need to go from brand expression, which is telling people what you do, your products, your services, to brand experiences. And creating a brand experiences, by the way, the name of my show is The Brand Experience, and you're going to be on it at some point. But ultimately, the whole point is to create an experience, a memorable experience that people will, have in their mind or in their phone or in their, heart. And this is a very different way to do marketing than buying a billboard and saying that you have 40% off this product. We've evolved to a point where marketing is more sophisticated, it's more complicated, and there's a lot of bullshit too. You see in your Facebook feed a lot of crap. You see in your Snapchat stories a lot of crap too. So the brands that are succeeding are the ones that really truly understands, with various sources, data, conversations, and so on and so forth, their audience. And that's the key is what do you do with this data? How do you interpret it? And how do you use it to have more relevant conversations with your consumers?
What do you think the biggest skill set is required today versus, let's say, 10 years ago when you started your career? What's different today? If you're growing up and you're starting out in marketing, let's say.
It's another great question because I also saw that evolution of being a marketer 10 years ago. You would have to understand, the trends and where the industry is going, but today you have to be a practitioner. You have to have your two hands. Like when I hear my team pitch me an Instagram story strategy, I'm not only listening to it or I read about it on Adweek or Marketing Mag. No, I have my two hands in it. I'm trying the platform. I'm using it. I'm interacting with people. So we have to become practitioner and not just generalists that are, building marketing strategies. And to that extent, if you build a marketing strategy, the minute you put your final dot on it, well, game's over. It's all, the game has already changed. There's a new platform. Instagram just launched their stories, and Snapchat is not as relevant as it was anymore, or they're targeting another demo, and so on and so forth. So you really have to be curious, ridiculously curious about all these new technologies that are coming to the market and the way young people interact. One of my favorite things is to watch my little cousin who's 14, and I look at the way she uses her phone, and it's completely different than 14-year-olds 5 years ago and 10 years ago. So that you need to pay attention on how people use their phone, because this is where it's happening. And the next step is how people use their home and their cars. So being a practitioner, I think, is kind of the big thing, at least for now, as a marketer. Yeah,
you mentioned the always be learning. I think that's a great tidbit of wisdom. I do some public speaking at high schools. It's part of this program in Montreal where you go. It's like a good, healthy, stay in school message. And I always ask kids, usually grade secondary 3, so 14, 15. It's really tough to keep attention. At that age. And I always ask, what would you
because you're competing against their phones.
Exactly. So I always ask the question, what would you guys prefer to keep, Facebook or Snapchat?
Yep.
As your top platform? And almost everyone's like, oh, I would never use Facebook. Like I would keep. I'm like,
hey, my grandmother's on it. My mother's on it. I don't want to be on Facebook.
So to your point, it's just going back to why, I think we're both passionate about the industry. It's always changing.
Yep.
And you always kind
of faster and faster and faster and faster.
So the pace of change is unrelenting.
Yeah. The good old days where when I was calling you. When you worked at an agency, and I said, hey, here's my plan. We're going to buy a billboard, a TV ad, and a radio ad. Done. We can go back to doing what we were doing.
For the next 3 months, there's a plan. And
exactly. And this is for the BlackBerry that's coming out.
Yes, the Z700. Anyways.
Yeah.
Maybe a question, and this is a tougher question, but what do you think is happening right now in the space that no one is talking about?
Well, everybody's talking about AI, right? What people are not talking about is how do you, again, incorporate that new ability to use artificial intelligence in a way that's not just to market to people, or AI is going to allow us to sell more shit and stuff. So that's great. Everybody should be talking about AI as a way to solve very, very complex problems. Health problems, government problems. I think we're not talking enough about that. Some people are talking about it, but I think we should stop worrying about how marketers are going to use AI and start talking about all the clever people that are developing strategies and using AI and all this great stuff. Should start focusing on the real problems. Climate change. Holy crap. We could use some AI there and some algorithms that's going to help us be more savvy and ultimately save the planet. I mean, it's a known fact that we're basically doomed to failure if we don't do anything.
Yeah, for anyone that listens to the podcast, it's come up a few times where it's like, I'm bullish on the long term, but very bearish on the short term. I think there's way too much hype, and a few guests have mentioned that as well.
Yep.
The marketing hype is it's reaching peak levels right now. I'm hoping it for to die down. But yeah, I completely agree with you. It's like, what are the practical applications? And there's not right now. They're very limited in scope.
Yeah, every time I see a headline like AI this and AI that, I'm like, I don't even want to read about it anymore.
It's exciting. There's a lot of cool stuff. Even today, just because what happens is that once it's just implemented, it's not called that. Like your Spotify playlist or your Google Play playlist that recommends stuff based on your history and based on 10 million people's history, that's machine learning.
Yep.
No one's saying, oh, that's AI. It's because it's not. The term itself is a misnomer.
Just like social media, I think we should stop saying social media. This is just the current state of the internet, of the web, or actually how people use the internet. The web isn't social. You are. So anyways, it's just small distinction, but I think we should use all the manpower and the thinking to use that new technology, or not technology, but that new possibility to solve very complex problem. And I think this is what the Elon Musk of this world are starting to do. It's not just to talk about their products, but how can we apply it to other. But I think he came out with a very controversial view on AI, saying that it's gonna kill us or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure into it, but I don't know about the doomsday robots, someone at the counter to that is like, it's like worrying about overpopulation on Mars today.
There you
go. But yeah, like he's obviously way smarter than I am. So I have to say.
Well, he knows a thing or two about using technology.
Maybe a few more last questions, Fred, to respect your time. Is what excites you today in the industry that's happening? Like, what do you keep your eye on? What are you trying to stay on top of?
I'm trying to stay on top of connected life. For me, that's the theme for the next I'm reluctant to say 5 years because it evolves so fast. But the fact that I can now, we can create safer environment. We can create an environment where machine learning, to your point, is helping us live a better life. I might sound a bit optimistic about it, but I truly believe that we could utilize and leverage that technology, and the fact that machines are starting to talk to each other, and the cost is coming down. We were discussing about security surveillance cameras. Well, now it's not just dummy cameras that are shooting on a tape. It's actually, it could be connected to another app, to another app, and to another app, and you can create a secure environment at home. So for me, that's the next frontier, is how do we crack the code of using these technologies that all connects together in a way that's making your lives easier or making your lives better. I think the true magic is when technology disappears. And I'm starting to see that more and more. When you plug, you play, and it works, this is where I get the most excited. And I think I'm seeing more and more of these technologies that are seamless. And again, costs are coming down. So for me, that excites me as a user and also as a marketer, because I now know that I can be more relevant with my interactions that I have with my consumers.
I think that's a pretty good way to end it, Fred. I'll ask you one last question. Where can people find out either more about Stingray or about yourself?
Yes, of course, Stingray. You can find Stingray on Instagram, on the web, the good old web.
The socials.
The socials. We're Stingray Music. We also have all of our products on our Facebook page, so you can find all the other products. And if you want to interact with me, you can find me at Fred Ranger on all these great platforms.
Amazing. Thanks for your time today, Fred.
Cool, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to the Point of No Return podcast. Never miss an episode by clicking on the subscribe button on iTunes or Google Play.